On the night of November 26, 2008, 10 terrorists landed in Mumbai and over the course of 60 hours proceeded to butcher 166 innocent men, women and children. Now for over 17 years, India has been fighting for justice for these victims. Sure, we've managed to nab some foot soldiers. Ajmal Kasab, the 10th terrorist who was executed after a trial in 2012. Zabiuddin Ansari, one of the handlers who was in the control room in Karachi directing the attackers, he faces trial as well. But now India could be close to getting one of the masterminds of the terror attacks, Tahawwur Hussain Rana, a Pakistani-Canadian national who was one of the plotters of the 26/11 attacks along with David Coleman Headley. What can we expect from Rana when he's extradited to India? Joining me to discuss this are Yashovardhan Azad, former Special Director in the Intelligence Bureau, and Ambassador Meera Shankar. Ujjwal Nikam, who's also a public prosecutor who handled the 26/11 case, also joins us. But I want to start with Ambassador Shankar. Ambassador Shankar, explain to us the significance of what we've actually got here, the extradition of Tahawwur Hussain Rana, one of the masterminds of 26/11. This is a case that the government of India has proceeded with great patience over the last couple of years. The NIA must be complimented for building this case against Rana. They've proceeded on it very quietly and diligently. And now we hear that the Supreme Court has rejected the final appeal that Rana filed, and he is now set to be extradited. Tell us how important this is for this case of bringing justice to the victims of 26/11.
I think it's very important because Rana was obviously somebody who was closely involved with the conspiracy, being a friend of David Headley. And David Headley had also testified at Rana's trial, which was with regard to the attempt to, attack someone from the Danish newspaper, which had published a cartoon which was offensive to Muslims. During the course of the trial, it turned out that Headley had used the cover provided by Rana's immigration law office, which he had set up in Mumbai. And Rana was also overheard talking in a conversation, basically saying that the terrorists involved with November 8th should be, given gallantry medals or something like that in Pakistan. So clearly there was involvement. And when he comes to India, we will be able to look at trying to get deeper elements of the conspiracy, because who were the ISI majors involved in this whole conspiracy? There's been talk of a Major Iqbal. So let's see what further information we can get. And it's also a testament to the fact that there's now much greater trust between India and the US. You'll recall that, Mr. Headley, when he was first seen as being involved, the US did not immediately give us access to him. And speculation was that he was a double agent, also working for the US Narcotics Bureau. But, at that time, I was ambassador. I probably met the Attorney General, Eric Holder, about 5-6 times pertaining to the case. And finally, we were able to get access for our National Investigative Agency team, fly out there and interrogate Headley in prison for 7 days, which helped us to collect material. But we were not allowed to use that material unless we had other corroborative evidence to establish it, purely on the basis of Headley's replies. Therefore, when Rana's trial took place and Headley testified
Yes.
in that trial, all that came as evidence on record.
Yes.
And that was extremely helpful because we can now use all that evidence,
Yes.
which is there through Headley's testimony.
Absolutely.
Now, we asked
Ambassador
for
Shankar, I'm going to
extension.
interrupt you. Ujjwal Nikam now joins us from Jalgaon. He's someone who knows more about this case than anyone else. He's been special public prosecutor on the 2611 case. Ambassador Shankar was just talking, Mr. Nikam, about the kind of evidence that David Headley has given us. And the fact is that we have managed to diligently pursue this case, and we finally got hold. We may not have got David Headley because he's facing 35 years in prison in the United States. But tell us, how significant is this move of the US to deport Tahawwur, Rana to India, and what happens after this? Once the extradition, his appeal has been rejected, the extradition process begins. What happens? What are the next steps? Just take us through this.
First of all, let me make it very clear that David Headley and US had entered into plea bargain agreement.
Yes.
I have tabled that plea bargain agreement, and one of the important conditions of the plea bargain agreement that David Headley would depose in both countries, in
Right.
Pakistan as well as India. But he will not be transferred either any of the country, which ultimately US has agreed.
Right.
And that is the reason as to why, according to me, we can't bring David Headley in India, number one.
Right. Right.
Number two, I have taken the live evidence of David Headley in Mumbai court in the terror attack of 26 November.
Yes.
See, the reason is that when I had been to Islamabad
Yes.
along with the Indian official delegation, we are asking, you are not prosecuting the perpetrators of the terror attack, like
Right.
Hafiz Saeed, Shakir Rahman Lucky.
Yes.
No doubt Pakistan has arrested very petty players in that conspiracy.
Yes.
And we were objecting, you should apprehend the real players in the conspiracy.
Right.
Their stock answer was that India did not share us in investigation, did
Right.
not involve us. Number two, they said that where is the evidence? India did not furnish the evidence, to which we replied
Yes.
that in fact the criminal conspiracy was hatched on the US side,
Yes.
and therefore it was necessary for you to collect the answer.
Right.
But we know the Pakistan is always in denial mood to prosecute India's enemies.
Yes.
And that is the reason as to why the Hafiz Saeed, Shakir Rahman Lucky still are at large. Therefore, when we come back, I read the entire plea bargain agreement. Then, after having discussion with the government of Maharashtra,
Yeah.
we have examined as an approver, as an accomplice
Yeah.
in Mumbai court. We have taken his evidence, live evidence. No doubt David Headley had shared us very important information,
Yeah.
like the email correspondence, which was exchanged between the LAT operatives and even David Headley.
Yes.
Now, one of the email correspondence was showing that the LAT had a strong, close association with the Pakistan army official.
Absolutely.
That
Yes.
that paper is having the mobile numbers. I have taken the very clear clarification from David Headley
Yes.
about their name, etc.
Right.
Now, so far as your question is,
What happens next?
The,
Yes, Mr. Nikam. After he's extradited, brought to India, what will you do? Will you reopen the case, or will you file a fresh case against?
say now it is
Tahawwur
for the
Rana.
NI,
Yes.
because NI is the prosecuting agency so far as Tahawwur Rana is concerned.
Right.
Now it is for the NI to take legal action against the Tahawwur Rana.
Yes.
Of course, from our side, we are ready to cooperate to NI. We can share all the information, all the
Yes.
evidence, tangible evidence, which has been collected in Mumbai court.
Right.
But whole criminal conspiracy was related to the terror attack of 26 November.
Yes.
So I'm very optimist by deporting or extraditing Tahawwur Rana in India.
Yes.
India will get more information,
More information.
evidence.
Yes.
Yes, that is about the links between
Yes.
the Pakistan security apparatus and the Jamaatu Dawa or LAT, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. And
So
thank you,
let us
Mr.
see
Nikam.
what
I'm going to
happens.
go to
Thank you.
Mr. Azad. You know, he's also someone who's tracked the 2611 case very closely while he was in the IB. You know, Mr. Azad, there's overwhelming evidence that the Pakistan ISI, which is actually the Pakistan military, has been behind several terror attacks on Indian soil in the past, particularly in Mumbai, which they seem to have targeted with maniacal glee, you know, since 1993. In 15 years, you've had some 3 terror attacks in which 700 Mumbaikars were killed. You know, but we've never really got any of the top masterminds, any conspirators, other than the foot soldiers or low-level operatives, you know. Now, given how Ujjwal Nikam was talking about the importance of the revelations that David Headley made, the fact is that the Headley interrogations very clearly show that the Pakistan military was very closely involved. They had, you know, all the LET operatives had one Pakistan army handler or the other. And there is a number of these officers who keep floating, from Major Iqbal to there is a brigadier who is supposed to be a handler, you know. And do you think that there is finally a chance for India to link the Pakistan Army's ISI to the 2611 conspiracy?
See, much of the material we already have, and I have prepared an excellent dossier.
Yes.
On the 11 attacks, on the 9/11, and then after that they submitted, I think, the charge sheet also in 2011.
Yes.
In which this guy is named. Now, the important part about this fellow is that the case which has been registered against him is the conspiracy to wage war against India.
Right.
And you know, providing material support to the terrorists. It's also forgery, use of fake documents.
Yes.
So the charges are very, very strong, and also the evidence is very strong.
Right.
In the evidence is also their, you know, their communications between the various led operatives,
Yes.
between Rana, between Headley. And in fact, you know, it's very unfortunate that in that plea bargaining, one of the conditions was that he won't be handed over to India.
Yes.
Because, you know, the actual case concerns India. It,
Yes.
of course, US got involved because of the US nationals were also killed in this
Yes.
case.
6
But it's
US citizens
very,
were
very
killed in
important.
this attack. Yes.
And that's very, very important that he should have been handed over to India. And we have that bilateral extradition treaty. And you'd remember that in the actual involvement of the terror attack case, this
Right.
fellow was acquitted
Yeah.
in Mumbai. But whereas because he was wanted by us,
Yes.
and the charges were very serious, that is waging war against India,
Yes.
that is how he's being charged. Now, you talked about some of the key players. Yes, the foot soldiers caught. I am extremely satisfied that all those 10 murderers who had come here, the
Yes.
terrorists, they've all, you know, gone. 9
Yes.
of them have been shot, and one was, of course, hanged later. Now, with the Tahawwur Rana, at least there are 2 things which will happen.
Right.
One, that at least this man who was a plotter, he was the virtual creator of this entire thing, because he was a
Right.
great friend with Headley, and he was involved with everything, mapping, plotting,
Yes.
just about everything, giving financial assistance. And the second is, of course, that a lot will come out in terms of actual involvement. We know that
Right.
who are the people involved. You know, Lakshmi, one of the
Yes.
commanders of the lead, he
Yes.
is also in some kind of a fraud jail sentence
Yes.
in Pakistan. And I don't know when they get released, when they come back. All these guys have their pointsmen
Yes.
in the military. Now, with this fellow coming back,
Yes.
when he's confronted with the evidence that we already have,
Right.
which the NIA has, then we are going to get more and more things out of this person. I think,
Right.
you know, Mr. Nikam already has a great experience in this.
Yes.
And we should be able to pursue this case extremely well with all the evidence that we have marshaled at our command, and we are going to use it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ambassador Shankar, you believe that Tahawwur Rana could actually throw more light on the linkages between the LET and the Pakistan military? In fact, your colleagues who I've spoken with, and of course, prosecutors on the 2611 case say that the LET is a virtual arm of the Pakistan military. They're like a paramilitary that the Pakistan army has used against India on several terror attacks. Do you believe this is a chance for India to finally nail the links between the Pakistan deep state and terror organizations like the LET?
I hope so. I hope we are able to do it. We already have a lot of information which came from Ajmal Kasab, which came
Yes.
from David Headley's testimony. So a considerable portion of the conspiracy
Yes.
has already been pieced together.
Right.
And I'm not sure that this will make any difference in Pakistan because they just deny it.
Yes.
So it's not that it is going to have, any visible impact. But yes, we can certainly then show to the world
Yes.
that the Pakistani state
Yes.
has been intimately involved in this kind of covert war
Right.
against India. I think that would be the big diplomatic benefit
Right.
that we get from Tahawwur Rana's extradition. And of course, there are two things. The US court, the US had queries about the possibility of torture, whether
Yes.
legal aid will be provided to him, what kind of facilities.
But Mr. Azad, I want to come back to you on the point that Ambassador Shankar was making, that this is possibly another chance that India has to nail Pakistan's policy of using terror as an instrument of foreign policy. Do you believe that anything that we get now could deter Pakistan from using terrorism? Because they seem to be, literally addicted to using terror as an instrument of state policy.
Well, fortunately, the incidents, such incidents have really come down. In fact, they have come to a real trickle. And
Yes.
some of their, what you call the sleeper agents, only you find them in action here and there, maybe in Punjab, a few actions. And of
Right.
course, the border crossings continue in Kashmir. So definitely a difference has been made. There is a kind of a deterrence now.
Yes.
Because the difference today is that the NIA has done an excellent work,
Right.
and with the authority at their command that they can investigate cases of terrorism against India on the foreign soil.
Yes.
This has given them further latitude to go out. For example, cases of Canada or you see other countries where
Yes.
these things are happening. NI has been able to prepare excellent dossiers. The
Right.
difference it has made is that we are able to communicate better with our friends abroad,
Yes.
and we are able to give them much better and concrete evidence.
Right.
So in this case, I agree with Ambassador Shankar that maybe the Pakistan, most probably rather, they won't react favorably.
Yes.
But anyhow, with more and more information coming out, we shall at least be using it to our advantage, which
Yes.
will create some kind of a deterrence against for them.
Absolutely, creating some kind of deterrence against Pakistan's use of terrorism as an instrument of state policy. But thank you very much, Yashovardhan Azad, Ambassador Shankar, and of course Ujjwal Nikam for joining us on this story.